What's going on, everyone? So I just had this experience I want to share. Not everybody's going to agree with this. I get that, but I couldn't hold back. So it's been a while since I've done a podcast. There's a lot of reasons for that. Mostly, I think the enemy's at work. It's just the facts. If you listen to my last one, it was about demonic attacks, so on and so forth. I will not be silenced. That's just something I'm going to preface this episode by saying. I didn't even we've got this whole podcast studio we're putting together, microphones, all this stuff. I'm just doing this old school straight out of my phone. So let me just break this down. Get rid of my gum. So my daughters, primarily one of them goes to Young Life from Life Austin, and they have a Dripping Springs chapter. And she's benefited greatly from the fellowship, from the youth pastor, so on and so forth. So from time to time, I go to church with her. It's a satellite church, which I've got my own opinion on what that's all about. I understand it. I get it. And whatever. I'm there to worship and be with other people and support my daughter. So I'm there today. And after the worship, the campus pastor says that there was somebody who was running for judge. Her name's Sarah Brandon in Hayes County. It's a new district because of our growth here. Governor Abbott appointed a judge here in 2022. Anyways, that judge is still presiding, but she's running for judge. And something didn't feel right. Like they were talking about this person running for judge, and then they says, we're going to bring her up so we can pray for her. And then he said, we don't necessarily endorse candidates, but we do want to lift them up and pray for them. And so she came up, and he gave her like 5 to 10 minutes to talk about, her faith and family and all this stuff. And I kept going, something's off. Something's not right here. And so I hop on my phone real quick. And I remembered I was driving, and there was a sign for her and running for judge as a Democrat, right? So my thing is, look, this isn't a partisan thing. A lot of people believe because you are more conservative, you're gonna this, that. Look, that's not what this is about. This is about Christianity. This is about the Bible. This is about our faith. This is about those items. And so this is the problem that I have. The Democratic platform, if you're a Democrat, I get it. Hear me out, though. The Democratic platform from the DNC, what they are running on and what they are intending to do across the board throughout the country is based on an agenda, okay? And it has to do with a lot of things that are completely unbiblical. Look, if you're not a Christian and you're a Democrat, fine. If you claim to be a Christian and you say that you're a Democrat, we have to have a conversation, because the platform that the Democratic Party is using to run its entire, political base comes from positions that are completely anti-biblical. They're godless. So here we go. So I say to my daughter, I go, I think she's a Democrat, right? Which, look, I'm not a Trumper, so get that out of your head. This isn't about MAGA. This isn't about none of that stuff. This is about a church endorsing. They say, well, we're not endorsing. And then you give 10 minutes to somebody to tell you all about their faith and the fact that what they're going to do and their compassion and their love and their tenderness, but not tell you that the things that they are actually for, the godless things that they are actually for, they will judiciously herald from the bench, from a legal position, that they will use that legal platform to institute laws and judgments based on that platform. So yes, I'm a little bit heated right now. So when she was done, I was more disturbed. And then she walked out and she had a pastor with her, or an associate pastor, somebody from the church in leadership. She walked out. I had a hard time not spouting out in that moment, "Aren't you running on the Democrat platform?" Right? Just to see how that would pan out. But I held back because I didn't want my daughters to be embarrassed. The pastor said, "Everybody stretch your hands." The whole congregation was goo-goo and Jesus and stretching their hands and endorsement and anointing and lifting up this individual who is going to judiciously make decisions based on a platform that is demonic and godless and completely against what the Bible is. So, okay. All right. So I calmly get up after all of the people raised their hands in prayer and closed their eyes and blessed her. And I followed her out to her car while she was with this other pastor. And I asked her, because I'm pragmatic and I can be sensible. I said, "Hey, can I ask you a couple questions?" And then I proceeded to ask her, like, how can you, as a professing Christian, run on a platform, run on from the Democratic Foundation, and also call yourself a Bible-believing Christian? And so we had this fascinating conversation, and it was all the talking points. Meanwhile, right, the pastor, he's very disturbed. And then I turned to him and I said, "Shame on you. Shame on you for allowing your church, this body of believers, to turn and endorse and pray for and lift hands to this individual who is going to change our county, our judicial pronouncements of all kinds." Later, my daughters, I'm driving. I just went back into the church after I talked to her for a few minutes. I don't want to fully get into it. And I thought, this is what the Bible talked about. Like, people will sit around and listen to what their itchy ears want to hear, and they will not put up with sound doctrine anymore. And I challenged this woman on this. I challenged this woman on her doctrine. I challenged this woman on all this. And you know what she told me? She told me that it sounded like I was being judgmental, that I was judging. And I said, "Hold on, aren't you running to be a judge? To make assessments based on the behaviors of individuals and pronouncements based on those assessments? So you're telling me that I'm judging when all I'm doing is," because she said, "Well, Jesus said he came to set the captives free." And I said, "Well, yes, he did." And he also said this. This is the other thing that was really important. He said, "To those who believed," the Jews who were listening to him, "if you follow my teachings, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Following his teachings was the thing that sets you free. Jesus in and of himself can set anybody and everybody free. And he is the truth. But unless you follow his teachings, you're not free. You just understand that his teachings are truth. So I challenged her on that. Anyways, I finally, after the end of this whole thing, I'm only heated right now. I didn't talk to her disrespectfully in any way. When I was calmly walking away, the pastor says, "I'm so sorry that this has happened to you." And I just thought to myself, what are you talking about, dude? What are you saying? So I go back in the church because I need my glasses and my keys, and my kids are in there. And I say to them, "Hey, I got to go. You can call me later." So they're in church. They're like, "Dad, we Facebook stalked her and did some reconnaissance. She's fully for abortion. She's all about LGBTQ and pronouns and the whole thing, like all the stuff that the Democratic platform is trying to force and instigate or perpetuate on everybody." And they're now very disturbed. Luckily, because I just said, "Look, I'm a real Christian," right? Like, I'm not saying look, Life Austin, I don't know. But I'm not going to sit around and listen to what my itchy ears want to hear and just allow for our faith to be hijacked under the false packaging of a godless agenda. Tolerance and love and kindness. That's what she told me. She says, well, I says, why would you run on that platform knowing the things that it believes? She says, well, I just believe that it's more in alignment with my views. I go, well, what views are you talking about? Well, with, love and kindness and compassion and tolerance. I said, so you don't find those things from a conservative position either, like somehow it's missing this? She goes, well, no, just not the way that I see it. And I just kept pushing her and saying, well, why wouldn't you just run as an independent? That way you could capture votes from all different sides, but you're running from a platform that is literally anti-biblical. It is godless in its foundation. And, she didn't have any really good answers. And I got to tell you, I saw something behind and inside that I felt was, it didn't look like the Holy Spirit to me, right? So anyway, my daughters text me. They're like, Dad, oh my gosh, it's so sus. I can't believe that they did that. They said, we don't endorse anybody, but then they put somebody up there for 10 minutes to endorse somebody and allow them a microphone and a platform to propagate their thing to get votes. It was bizarre. And so I'm very heated about it, obviously, pretty disturbed, but I'm not going to be silent. I can't be silent anymore. The only thing that I wish I would have done was publicly, while she was up there, saying, hey, how is it that you can run from a Democratic platform? And let her answer that publicly. Because what you have is a whole bunch of people who are just not paying attention. And they go, well, she came and talked at my church. She seemed really nice. I don't know. When I looked, I just checked the box. Anyways, so that's what I got. I'm obviously fired up and disturbed about it. And hopefully you get where I'm coming from. If you're a Democrat, I get it. But being a Democrat and a Christian, you got to tell me how you reconcile that, right? You can pick a handful of things that the party sort of associates with Christian values, but they're all like, there's the center core is a heaping pile, steamy pile of shit, right? And it stinks. And then so what you do is you package it with all of these little truths, and you go, oh, look at this beautiful package. It's all of it's so kind and tolerant, and we're full of compassion and giving. And then you peel it back and it's a steaming pile of crap. You know what I'm saying? So that's the problem that I have. And if our churches are getting on board with this stuff, which they obviously have been, the only way this stuff has been able to perpetuate throughout our culture is if Christians have just lied down and done nothing. And that's what I see happening. You know what? There was a pastor in Germany during the Holocaust. And this is what he said. He said that when the trains would come by with the people in them, they would be having church during church service. They would, when they could hear the screams of the people, they would just sing louder so they wouldn't have to hear them. And that's what the pastor said. The trains would come by, we could hear the terror and the cries inside, and we would just sing louder in praise to the Lord so that we wouldn't have to hear them. My God, what are we doing?